Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have a huge guest. I just got done reading his book. His name is Robbie Thomas, Psychic Profiler. The name of the book is Real Deal True Crime Cases, Volume 1, and this book blew me away. I can't wait to talk about it tonight. There's real stories. I mean, this is the real deal. I've had mediums on before. I have friends that are mediums. They're all, everybody I've had on the show has been great, but this is like the first one I've had that's really worked with law enforcement, has the testimonials in his book to back it up from law enforcement. You know how hard that is to get from a law enforcement officer? I was a police officer for like short 5 months. I worked with law enforcement before I decided I didn't want to do it. It's not easy to get these guys to accept what Robbie does, but it's so incredible. These guys will see facts. They will do it. They will work. They want to solve these cases. So we're going to talk about it tonight. And then, of course, what we do every Sunday night is the World Wide Web of Weird. Robbie's with us. He can't, I don't know if he's going to be able to see the World Wide Web of Weird with us because we couldn't get him to see us. You'll see him tonight, but he can't see us unless he's watching it on Facebook. It's really weird. Technical difficulties, right? All right, guys, we'll be right with you in just a sec. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup, and as I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Let me get my share screen up here so you can see our great panel. As always, we have, and there's the man tonight, our guest, Robbie Thomas. Actually have him on the phone line, but you can see him here on video. Hey, we've done it before. It works. How you doing tonight, Robbie?
No, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. This is truly awesome to have you on this show. I'm truly honored to have you on. I can't wait. Like I said, World Wide Web of Weird. I don't know if are you able to watch us at all on Facebook? Were you able to set that up? Are you going to be able to see anything we're showing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I see my mugshot. Yeah.
You might be a few seconds behind, but you'll get the gist of it. So jump in anytime, Robbie. I love my other guest perspective. We do want to roll through it quick because I want to get to your interview. So, of course, what joining us tonight is my lovely co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing great and very excited about tonight.
Oh, I know this is a favorite subject of yours. You've helped in some cases with families like Robbie. I thought this would be an excellent show. This is totally up your alley, doing the spirit box stuff that you do and trying to help finding missing people with spirit boxes. It's similar to what he's doing. It's a passion you share. I think you'll share with Robbie. Is trying to help find missing people. And of course, from St. Augustine, Florida, we have Rob Autry. So we got Robbie and Rob. So we don't get confused tonight. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
When I first heard about this, I thought, this is right up Jamie's alley.
Oh, yeah. That's the first thing I thought. I want to say it was Deborah. I won't say her last name. I don't know if she wants to know. They contacted me on Facebook Messenger. She's like, have you heard of Robbie Thomas? I'm like, yeah. She's like, let me get you in touch. She's like, you should have him on the show. I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely will. All right, let's do what we do every Sunday night is the World Wide Web of Weird. We got Jeffrey Chan manning the videos for us and pictures. We do stream out the Late Night in the Midlands radio network. So people listening on that network, we do show videos and pictures that you can't see. I try to narrate the best I can, but we do want to run through it quick. If you ever want to check it out, go to our Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup Facebook page. Check out the live webcast or watch it later if you want. Go watch it again. Seconds. Yeah. All right. Let's roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. right, tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, we're going to start off with what was totally viral. Was mysterious sea creature washes up on Georgia beach. This is from Newsweek U.S. edition. And you know, it's always like some crappy turd left on a beach. That's what I always think about the sea monster thing. It's like, what are we really looking at? I don't know. They're always gross and disgusting. But, you know, it's the World Wide Web of Weird. So what? All right, let's get to the picture here. All right, so a man from Waycross, Georgia, has been left scratching his head after he discovered a Loch Ness-type thing washed up on a beach while out with his wife and son. Jeff Warren said he found the strange sea creature after going boating at Wolf Island National Wildlife Refuge in Golden Isles, Georgia. He initially thought the animal was a dead seal, but upon closer inspection, he saw it resembled something that was from a prehistoric times. You can see it's got the fins. What people are really like saying is weird about it is the long like neck, but what people are, I think a lot of people, I think the number one explanation for this I've seen so far, and nobody's like given, oh, it's definitely that, because the body was lost. Of course, it always is. The body is lost. Why? Come on, bring it in. Let's see what it actually is. Have a scientist look at it. But it never happens. It's just a picture, and you got people scratching their heads and experts trying to tell what it is. Most of them are saying it's some kind of shark. There's been a couple different sharks. I don't remember. I'm not going to read the whole article. You can check it out on Newsweek. But that it's a dried up shark carcass, and the way that the whole head and neck thing looks. I don't know. It's weird. It looks weird. It does look like something prehistoric, but come on, you find it, and they blurred out on this picture the like bloody guts coming out of it too. This is from the Newsweek article. They blurred it out, so I guess it's good for kids. But I don't know. Scott Mardis, you know, we've had on as an expert on these things, and I'm sure he would have a logical explanation probably for what this thing is. All right, next up on the World Wide Web of Weird, we have, this is one we've covered on, I've talked about before, about my criticism of Stephen Greer's Sirius X Netflix documentary that I wasted my time watching. This is one of the things they talked about on this that documentary. Is the genetic tests now have revealed that it's not an alien, this was this Akatim, I'm totally mispronouncing this, I'm sure, Atacama alien skeleton, as mummified remains from a Chilean ghost town revealed to be a baby girl with malformations so bizarre they led to speculation over alien life. And I could see, why they made a whole documentary out of it. It was really interesting, but they went with the alien route. But it turns out it is human. It is actually DNA is shared with the Chilean people. That this was a birth defect, so severe. They checked out the DNA and found these 5 different strains of mutations within this baby girl's. She probably didn't live long either. And they actually say this is going to help. What's interesting is this is going to help people with skeletal disformities. Looking at this early DNA. Helping people that are suffering from skeletal disformities. I think this might help. So interesting. That's a good side that came out of it, but it wasn't an alien. At least that's what they're saying. Maybe it's a cover-up. I don't know. We'll move on. All right. This next one, I don't know if this is shenanigans. This is from the mirror.com. And it was over a lot of different articles. A lot of people covered this. Is the ghost train from China. Bizarre moment, a ghost train pulls into station to pick up passengers before heading towards parallel universe. I love that. Experienced rail workers are said to be stunned when they watch the scene on the surveillance camera in which only the train's outline and headlights could be made out. The eerie footage appears to show the moment a ghost train pulled into the station in China. Bizarre CCTV apparently captured a Batu rail station, shows a train arriving at the station before stopping as if it was picking up passengers. I think the most reasonable explanation I've seen for this one, and I could buy it, is that it's actually 2 different sets of train tracks. And I know this sounds crazy, but 2 different sets of train tracks, and it's a reflection, and it just happens to line up. The train happens to line up on the tracks. I don't know. I don't know if that's it or if it's shenanigans, but the provenance of this isn't very great either. This was turned into somebody else who put it on their YouTube, and we really don't know exactly what train station, and we don't know who really saw this, and there's no debunking. So, ghost train, maybe, I don't know.
All aboard for Hogwarts Academy.
Right? I'm thinking the ghost train from Ghostbusters, when Winston gets the crap scared out of him. That's what I'm thinking. All right, let's move on. All right, so this one's like the first, all the people, you see ghost videos and stuff. and there's all different kinds of shapes and forms they take, but you never expect to see one actually take the shape and form of Casper the Ghost. This looks like Casper the Ghost to me. I'm sorry. It just does. This comes from the express.co.uk. Proof of an afterlife. Ghost of a young boy filmed under stairway in creepy footage. Paranormal experts have been left godsmacked, really, by CCTV footage that some claim appears to have captured a spirit of a young boy. An eerie video released on YouTube shows a white form moving about underneath the staircase. According to the video shared on Paranormal Channel Hidden Underbelly 2.0, a man decided to record the activity after spotting it on a surveillance camera at work. He then uploaded the creepy encounter to his YouTube page entitled Ghost Boy Under the Stairs. Paranormal enthusiasts who viewed the video were impressed on dailystar.co.uk reports. One posted on YouTube, very compelling, kind of hard to write it off as a bug or something and just how it moved. It could still be a bug. I don't know. It's weird. It does zip off really quick, but it could be a bug. I don't know. It's odd. Is it shenanigans? I don't know. I don't think it's shenanigans. I think it's misidentification of something else. Maybe it is a ghost. I don't know. It's odd. Man, it looks like it'd just be Casper the Ghost, the way it's shaped. It's this white mist with that kind of like little tail at the bottom, like the classic ghost, you see? You know.
Casper. Friendly ghost.
Let's hope he's friendly. If I was Casper, I wouldn't be friendly. I'd be messing with people. All right, let's move on. Number 5 on the World Wide Web of Weird. I'm going to cover this real quick, but is an interest of mine. We've talked about it quite a bit on the World Wide Web of Weird, is the self-driving cars. You know, we joke on Bill that joins us in the panel quite often because he's an Uber driver. Rob's an Uber driver. And we're like, your jobs, they're going to take your jobs because they're doing the self-driving cars. Oh, yeah. And I'm one of those people that's like, give me the self-driving car. All my conspiracy friends are like, it's taking away our rights. And they're going to control everything you do because you won't be able to drive anywhere you really want to because the cars will control it. And I get that. I get that idea. You're definitely giving up your freedom, you know, in a way. But, man, I just want a car just take me there. I am not a fan of driving. I'm just not a fan of driving.
Safety.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're blaming the Uber shutdown. So they killed this pedestrian in Arizona. This is from Unexplained Mysteries. They killed this pedestrian across the street. From what I can read and telling from the story, I think a human would have hit her.
I think so, too, in this case. Even though I am not for the self-driving cars, I think this person just ran out in front of the car and nobody would have been able to stop it.
It's physics. You can only stop so quickly. So, I don't know. Uber's reevaluating. Is your job safe for now, Rob? It's, you know, sadly. You know, it's dangerous. How did they get the regulations passed to do this? I mean, like I said, I think a person would have still killed this poor person that got killed. It just is the reaction time and physics of how quickly you can stop a moving vehicle. You know, so, but you know, if I was Uber, I would take it offline too. They really need to figure out what happened and keep working at it there and let these guys make their money driving people around. All right. Next part of the show is this last 2 articles is what I call the weird science segment of Paranormal Soup, World Wide Web of Weird. This next one, all of our conspiracy friends will love this when they talk about hearing voices in their head. Unexplained Mysteries. Military lasers create voices out of thin air. That's not cool. Not cool at all, Pentagon. Pentagon has been working on a new non-lethal weapon that can make people hear voices and sounds. This is what your taxpayers' dollars are paying for. To develop as part of a U.S. military joint non-lethal weapons program, the chilling invention is designed to disperse crowds, quell riots, and discourage violence. Those in the firing line will start to hear words or sounds as if they're from thin air, making it possible to discourage riotous mobs. For example, making them believe that they are being fired upon. I think that would cause panic. Specific individuals can also be manipulated by having them hear disembodied voices. Is that really a good idea? I mean,
I don't like this.
I know. I can see so many bad things. And, you know, now you really have a reason to wear a tinfoil hat. Now you do. And last up, everybody knows, we'll move on to the number 7 on the World Wide Web of Weird. I have a thing about eyes. I can't stand stuff near my eyes or in my eyes, but look what they did to this guy. They gave him this stuff. This is from Science Alert. Biohackers figured out how to inject human eyes with night vision, and it's still creepy as hell. This is the face of a human guinea pig. Back in 2015, a team of biochemical researchers in the U.S. figured out how to give a human volunteer night vision, allowing him to see across a distance of over 50 meters in total darkness. You can check. It's a long article. You can go check it out at Science Alert. But I was going to say, they've been actually experimenting with this since the 60s, the chemical they use to do this. And it makes you wonder, with all the people talking about black-eyed kids and encounters with men with black eyes and stuff, like, are they some kind of government experiment that they can see in the night? Because it's always at night when they run into these people. It does wear off. At least this version of it wears off after, I think, 24 hours, and the eyes actually clear the fluid, and their vision returns back to normal. But man, that's freaky. God, that's just freaky, and it makes you think of all those encounters with the black-eyed kids. Like,
well, if you ran into that guy one night, you would. What would you think?
I'd be thinking I'm running the other way.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. I wanted to get through it quick because we have such an amazing guest tonight. But I did get our 7 articles for 7 days of weird for the World Wide Web of Weird in as quickly as I can. So let's go ahead and roll. For people watching on Facebook, we have 2 commercial breaks. Both of them have copyrighted music I can't play on Facebook. So you will hear a little bit of quiet for a minute or so. Don't freak out. We will be back. If you want to listen, go to Late Night in the Midlands radionetwork.com. Listen on TuneIn. Listen on TalkStream. We are on all of those. There's also a call-in line number. That'll play during the commercial break. You'll hear how to call in. If you have to leave and go by phone, you can actually dial in and listen by phone. It's really cool. All right. It's a crazy world. Let's go ahead and get to our first commercial break so we can get to our amazing guest. All right. We'll be right back. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Robbie Thomas, psychic medium and criminal profiler. Robbie is a psychic medium, spiritual counselor who helps international families and police fight against crime while bringing solace to those who need it. Over many years of assisting in many murder and missing person cases, Robbie has been able to give great details to those devastating crimes or happenings which have led to finding lost people, arrests being made in murder cases, and bringing closure to families who desperately need it. Robbie works closely with families in conjunction with law enforcement, finding resolve to some of the toughest cases. Being highly respected in the paranormal spiritual fields of work, Robbie continues to be a great presence working alongside many integral individuals in film, television, and radio, lending his ability to further along his experience in spiritual visionary. Robbie lives in Canada, is often called upon for an international community for assistance with his abilities. Being a prolific best-selling author, writer in the metaphysical and spiritual, horror, and paranormal genres, he's published 9 books of his own and co-contributed to 4 other books. He's written television treatments which are either in development or have been looked at, and has accomplished one of them to be in production. Other projects, Robbie has also been in consideration with other production companies in the United States and Canada. And tonight we're going to discuss the book I just finished reading, Psychic Profiler, The Real True Crime Cases, Volume 1 by Robbie Thomas. Let's get to our guest. All right, let me get the volume up. That would work. There we go. How you doing tonight, Robbie?
I'm great, and how are you?
Doing good. So happy to have you on tonight to talk about the book. Like I said, it really did blow me away, and I related to a lot of the stuff in it. For me, I loved it because I've always been interested in psychics and mediums, especially dealing with law enforcement. Myself, like you, wanted to be in law enforcement, and I had joined the police force, and I had my own experience that kind of led me in a different path. I even had a psychic once tell me, she's like, I see you doing something in law enforcement right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a rookie. I'm about ready to join the police department. And she goes, you're not going to keep doing it. She's like, you're going to do something more along these lines in the paranormal field. Like she knew. And so it's like you had your own experience like that. And in the book, it's an incredible story. I don't know if you want to start off with that, or if you want to talk a little bit about even your own childhood. You had an incredible experience as a child. So this goes all the way back to your earliest memories, I take it.
Yeah. Let's start from the beginning, and we'll end up going through when I was the police officer and so forth. Age 2. You have this young child running around saying, am I adopted, or do I have a sister out there, along those lines. And it used to hinder my mother, and then she would say to my father, he's doing it again. And my father would say, get in here, leave your mother alone. So I would. I'd leave her alone. But I knew there was something there. So I'm going to take people back before I was born. Back in the early 60s, if you were a mother and you had a child out of wedlock, the Roman Catholic Church would take the child and give the child up for adoption. So my mother met this fellow. He promised her the world. He fell through on his promise. My mother ended up getting pregnant and having a child. She was given up for adoption. Now, many years later, she meets my father, marries him, and then she has me. So, again, 2 years old, I'm saying, I have a sister or there's somebody out there. There's a piece of me. Come fast forward to 1994, the year my mother passed away. And we went through the funeral. Her side of the family, my uncle and my aunt, her brother and sister, pulled me aside, and they said, all those years, you were right, and she's been looking for you. Her name's Mary. So Here we are. I'm thinking, great. I knew him since age 2. And then Fox did a special, and it was a reunification of meeting my sister for the first time and, being right at age 2. So, that just ties me into the early childhood. And my first book I wrote back in 2003, I explained about my peer section and how if they found out I was like this, I'd be crushed because everybody looks upon this as a joke in the early 80s and, what have you, 70s. So I kept it really quiet. Coming up into the part where we become police officers, my first go around, I was 17 and I beat out about 100 candidates. I looked 20, 21 maybe at the age. And so I'm sitting in the office with 2 other auxiliaries to my left, and the chief comes in. He's a big burly fella. He walks in, he congratulates the other 2, but he kept his eye on me with a smirk on his face. And then he looked at me, picking up the paperwork that we just filled out, and he said, son, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm 17. I'm boastful. I'm 17. I really, I'm proud. I'm a cop now. And he crushed my world, and he said, you come back when you're 20, and we'll start looking at you then, because the auxiliary, you have to be a 20-year-old. Well, I didn't give up the hunt. I still went through to be a police officer, and I got hired on a town outside of Toronto, Canada, in the Peel region area. And I was about 21 at the time. And I come home, all, celebratory, wanting to tell the family, and I'm sitting in the kitchen. I went through all the psychological testing, all the physical.
That's a lot.
Yeah, everything, as you know. So I hear accident, woman screaming. I run out my back door. I hop the fence. There's a lady in a robe, and she's pointing down this long driveway, townhomes, and cars. And so I start running. I'm thinking there's a bad accident. I'm running towards the street. The road starts to curve, and as it's curving, I look out, and there's no cars, nothing. And then there's a guy to my left. He goes, over here. So then I run over to him, and I walk into this townhome, to the screen door with him standing there. There's a woman to my left running around screaming. There's a gentleman to my right holding a doorknob, and he says, come here. So I go over to him, and now I'm still thinking, because as a police officer, we take CPR, we take all the training for first responder as well.
Right.
And I'm looking on the floor for blood, because I got told there was an accident. So I'm looking for blood, and as he opens the door, he grabs my shoulder, and he shoves me in this little room and shuts the door. I look up, and there's this guy looking at me, and he's got purple blue lips. He's kind of gaunt looking, and it never dawned on me. So I go over and check for vitals. I'm going to do CPR, and as I'm starting to do CPR here, let me go. Well, I think to myself, all my life, I heard, I seen, I know I can do this, but it never dawned on me that he's talking to me. So I just went right back at it again, CPR. And then I heard real loud, let me go. So I stopped. And then I knew. I heard him. So I backed out the washroom, and about 2 days later, the coroner did the autopsy and found out that he had a major tear in his heart, which was a major coronary. So there was no way of reviving him.
He was a goner, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone, right? So I quit. You can't quit when you're a police officer and you're hired. They spend a lot of money on you,
Yeah.
a lot of time. You just don't do that. So they said, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to send a police captain, sergeant, and a film crew to your house, and we're going to film this because we're doing a working tool right now. And it was EMTs, firefighters, and police officers who quit under duress. Well, I wasn't stressed. I just knew what I was going to do. Well, we're filming, and they get to the big question, after all the other questions, why'd you quit? And I said, well, he was talking to me. And I just know that I'm going to be doing this in a different perspective, helping law enforcement in my field that I know what I'm doing. Well, their faces were like blank. They didn't know what to think. They probably thought I was an idiot, what have you. That was my first movie I'm in, age 21. And, so you look at that, and it's been...
They probably
I've been doing it.
When I read that in the book, they probably ruled it off. Oh, it was just the stress of the situation. He thought he heard something, but it wasn't. But you heard his voice tell you to let him go. That you recognized that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. You know the definitive. When somebody's dead and they're looking at you and you're looking through the soles of their eyes and they're telling you, let me go, there's not too much you can do.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you're like, okay. I mean, that's what you had to do. I mean, he was a goner. You didn't know it at the time. You were trying to do your best, but to hear that, you were death's door was right there, open next to you. That's what I picture.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then getting up after that, my first case was the year 1990. 28 years doing this. So, looking at my first case, as you read, I'm standing in a parking lot with a good friend of mine who was manager of this complex. And then behind him was another gentleman walking towards the main entrance. But again, being able to see and see through people, I seen a black shroud around this guy. And it just caught me. So as I've got my eyes trained on this guy going in the main entrance, Greg, who's my friend standing in front of me, notices I'm not keeping eye contact with him. So he looks over his shoulder and sees Jesse. And Jesse goes into the main entrance and up in the building, and Greg turns to me and goes, that's Jesse, you want to go meet him? I was, intrigued because this guy looked like a 5'0" Eddie Van Halen. Spitting image of Eddie Van Halen. So, all right, let's go. We ended up in Jesse's apartment. Now, I have Jesse sitting beside me, 2 feet on the couch, and Greg's adjacent on the other side, sitting in another chair. Jesse's girlfriend is in the alcove area where the little dining room comes into the living room, and she's pregnant. She's sitting there. My line of questioning, as you know, when you get involved into something like this, your mentality is straightforward, and I'm asking questions like, what do you do for a living? You ever been in trouble with the law? And it's just coming out like this. And he looks at me, and he goes, stand up. So I did. He goes, are you effing hot? And I couldn't
I'm beautiful.
What he meant. I'm still thinking about this guy who has a black shroud around him. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this guy. And then he lifts up my shirt, and he starts looking my belt loop around my back, patting me down. Then I knew he was looking for a wire. That's the only reason I could figure, right? So here we are. He goes, you want to know? He goes, pushes me down in the chair, and he sat there, and he was like this. And he goes, well, we popped him, and he was hopping like a rabbit.
This is a 14-year-old boy he's talking about, right?
Yeah, he was shot the little boy, 14-year-old boy. So what they were doing, they were ripping off a car stereo across the road from this little gas station cubicle this little boy worked at. He was 14 years of age. And he says they got tired of trying to get the car stereo out of the car. So Thomas Cook wanted to go and rob the gas station. So they walked over, and that's how it happened. And they pulled the guy out and told him no confession how they ran. So then by now, Greg's a little bit ticked off, and he's out by the door leaving the apartment. I'm standing up, and we have little immature Eddie Van Halen telling me to leave the apartment. So I do. As I get towards the door, he grabs my shoulder, pulls me in, and says, if I ever tell anybody, he's going to kill me. And he goes, don't worry about him getting off on an alibi. And he pushed me out the door. So now I'm down in Greg's apartment, and his wife and him are going at it because she didn't want any trouble, and trouble started already. I go back now, and I tell Greg, I go, I'm going to the police.
Yeah,
So
you just heard a confession of
that's the
murder.
first thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
You said you just heard a confession of murder. You know, you have to.
That's right. Absolutely. And as you know, as you went through to be a police officer, the first thing you do is you go and report it. So I'm reporting it. And the detective says to me, now this part I did not know. And this is my first case, so very inexperienced, right? So he says, you have to go back and wear wire because of the fact we're in trial with this guy right now, and we need this, again, what he said. And I said, oh, my gosh, I didn't know you were in trial with this going on. And this guy, no, I said, no, and the language in the book's a little rough. But I said, no, I'm not going back. And that's my first case. And anybody out there who thinks they're very psychic and you want to jump in on something like this, I always tell you this is a lesson. This guy could have killed me.
Yeah.
And you don't do things like this. So I grew up very fast in 28 years in my extent of my career.
I want to ask you a question. You said you saw a black shroud. Is that like his aura around him? Because I've had an experience.
Yeah,
I've had a number of experiences like that, where there's been people. I get this it's like a really nasty feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I'll get these like black blobs I will see kind of like behind their head, right back here. I'll see people's auras like colors once in a while, but I'll see like a black blob, and it's been a few times in my life, and at the same time I've seen it, I get this like it hurts in my stomach, like I'm either gonna puke or something. Whatever it is, it's like get away from this person.
Yeah. It was the draw, Jason. The draw was like none other. It was not just intriguing, but it was the fact that I needed to know more. I needed that, and it was like being pushed to go do this. So that's what I see that. When we talk to suspects and we're on the front lines, you can see it all around them. I tell them straight to their face. I'm going to get you. I tell them that. Tell them straight to the face.
And that's is that your first clue? I remember you said in the book that you really do want to be on scene if you can. You want to be right there with the families, working next to law enforcement on it. It's when you have your best results, and I can imagine why. But is it a lot of times you just take a look at them and you can tell because of that?
Yeah, I get into their head, and as we go through the book and explain a few cases, you're going to hear how I get into their heads, and it makes them think, and then not only think, but the con that they are. I mean, we had one guy commit suicide because I planted that thought into his head, and he gave a deathbed confession.
That was the Jesse guy, right? From the Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was to say, that I found really interesting in the book because, here you definitely put yourself in danger, big time. Like you walked right into it before you knew what you were getting into. But this guy, he got away, right? He got away with it. He said he had an alibi. He got away with it. And what did you say to him? What was it that you said to him that you think sunk in? Because he committed suicide and he had a deathbed confession, and you said something to him. I want you to tell the audience.
Yeah, no, that's a different case that we're talking about. It got mixed up there. But with the Eddie Van Halen, with the Eddie Van Halen fella.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, there's so many cases.
I know.
I mean, with the Eddie Van Halen fella, his partner ended up murdering again. And what he did was he tied his girlfriend's hands behind her back, and he took saran wrap, and he saran wrapped her head so she couldn't breathe. And he watched her take her last breath, and then he turned himself in. So he's in jail now for life. And the other guy who got off on the alibi, which you can't try him again,
right.
Double indemnity, right? He's out double jeopardy. He's out out west in Canada. So,
That's right. He got away.
I got the one guy, and he's in jail for life. So, yeah, it's, these guys are terrible, and I love hunting them down.
Eventually, he'll mess up. He'll do something else. Again, you can't, you talk about double jeopardy. That's very prevalent in the media with O.J. Simpson coming back up again. Pretty much confessing the murder, in my opinion. And nothing we can do about it. And that's sad.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. Any father, and even police officers I talk to on the line, any father, the murderer does any harm, or rapist does any harm to his daughter, son, what have you, they have it in them that they're going to wait, and sooner or later, they're their karma. They're going to get those guys. If it was me, I'm no slouch. You aren't. If something happened to our family, we're not going to sit back and just say, okay, we're going to let these guys live a free life after they get out of jail for 10 years. No.
I'd go Dexter on them. I'm sorry. I'll say it right now. You harm my children, I will go Dexter on you. That's as simple as it is. No Buddhism philosophy there to stop me. I'm going to do it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
That's the thing, Robbie. What I really admire about you is you put yourself right there with the families. You don't shy away from working with the families. And that has to be the toughest part, because they're going through a living hell. I couldn't imagine a worse hell than what they're going through, either not knowing where your child is or then knowing what happened to your child if you do find out. Either way, none of it's good. I couldn't, like I said, I can't even imagine a worse hell.
Yeah, no, it is. It's terrible. I become their psychologist, their priest, their confidant. I become adopted to their family. They follow me on social media. I talk to them all the time. It's life now with them, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's just, there's nothing I can do to bring their baby back. And when a mom says to me, and she's holding my hand, and she says, give me my baby back, and I just can't do that. And then they say, tell me who it is. Well, I can't do that either, because I have to draw that dividing line, and that dividing line is I work with the families and the police in conjunction. I will guide the families, but I'm going to tell all the information to the police.
Yep.
They're the ones who are going to make the arrest. They're the ones who are going to do it. We don't need family traipsing on evidence.
We're going Dexter. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because that could happen.
Oh, it can. And they can chase down some guy and end up shooting him. And, yeah, we don't want that. We want to get the suspect and put him in jail.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what is the process for you? How did this start? You had what happened to you when you were 20 or so, but how did you end up getting it? Because it had to be really hard to get police to let you work with them. I just know my own experience in law enforcement. They're very skeptical of this, and they don't want any wrong leads. It's going to waste police time and energy and could take them way off in the wrong direction. The times I see cops working as psychics is usually when they're completely out of leads. They have nothing.
Yeah. It's very difficult in the beginning for me. I'd say the latter part of 15 years has been very much easy, because my track record has proven itself time and time again. Working hand in hand with law enforcement, they see the results. They've spoken up. Families have spoken up. I was in the eye of the media on many cases. It's there. So when the proof's in the pudding, it becomes a lot easier. It's different. I've been on a lot of cases where I had to go rescue cases. And as you read in the book, I give examples. One example, this psychic, well-known psychic, I guess you call it. That's a term I really don't like to use, a psychic, by the way, as well. But people have to have a benchmark. Mm-hmm. And what do you call yourself? And I used to say for years, I had a radio show from 2004 to 2008, and I've been on TV for a long time, and I used to say, my mother gave me a name, my name's Rob. And they said, no, you need to have a title. You need to have a title. Psychic profiler, the real deal came from coin from a detective. It's stuck. And then when you become their Rolodex, they call it the Rolodex. And when they just call you up and say, can you come help? that's when you know you're on the A list. I'm on cases right now, very high profile cases, and people we have on our social media that you know, I know, a lot of people know, have weighed in on certain of these cases, and they've been wrong. And one case has been a year and a bit now, and within a week, I've been talking to a detective, and I can't give you a lot on it, but it's just blown everything out of proportion, and it's amazing. But when it's all said and done, people go, wow, and all these other people gave big long pages of information. Here's the thing: a lot of people, like one story in the book, I'll give one particular story in the book. A lady said to a family in 1996 that her husband and son of the mother, he is dead in Mexico, and he's buried behind a jail along a fence line. Don't bother looking for him anymore. You won't find him. So for 14 years, this family was said this by this individual, and I went live. I put my name on the line, and I did a psychic justice tour throughout North America. I started out in my hometown. I brought the family on stage, the wife. The mom was in the audience. All law enforcement was there. It was packed. And then when I said, do your homework prior to me coming on show, I'm going to talk to the RCMP and the OPP, Ontario Provincial, which is like state police in America. RCMP is like the FBI in America.
Right.
And I gave her certain questions, and they did their homework. She come into the show that one day, and she was so ready to tell me, and I said, don't say a word. We're on stage. I'm going to ask you. So in front of my hometown, you can tell everybody what you got told. And I said to her, so what did they say to you? And she goes, it's a matter of privacy. And all of a sudden you hear in the audience, and that's what we were told too. So the spotlight went from me being on stage to this beautiful elderly lady in the audience, about 8-9 rows up. I jumped off the stage with a mic. I hand her the mic, and I said, what did you say? She says, I'm his mom. And they told me it was a privacy issue. And I said, wow. So a privacy issue is a matter of privacy, both of them. And the mom did not know the daughter was on stage because they're estranged from each other.
Right.
Daughter-in-law, right? So they're not talking. Found him. I found him alive in Canada, out west, where psychic said he was dead in Mexico, buried lying along a fence line, and not to look for him anymore. So where do you draw who's got ability and who doesn't? I gave many accounts in that book on different cases of people who, there's I put it this way. There's doctors, there's surgeons, there are family physicians, there are people who administer drugs. They're all different type of medical people with different degrees, and they do different things. That's the same thing with ability. Some people have intuition, and then some people have ability. And there's people who are much better than I am of this, who are working with law enforcement. So you have to realize that there are different levels, and people are, and the problem is, and I'm trying to associate this over all the years, where the problem lies, where people get it all mixed up, where they don't understand how to give true clues to police, and why police have the black eye towards us because of this. It's because of cases like that, dead behind Mexico, dead in a hotel, right? Hamilton County Police put a missing persons report out in Florida. Man shot in a hotel, but I can't tell you where he is because I can't find him. This is a big psychic on TV. And I said, and then they called me live on a radio show, and they tell me all this information. And I said, no, he's alive. And they said, no, we just got told by so-and-so he's dead in the hotel, but you help us find it. I said, no, he's alive. They'll call you in 3 days. And they go, oh, no, this can't be. And I said, yeah, it's true. He's mad. He's pissed off because something about work and work-related. Well, if everybody went to my website and took a look at the letter from that production company, they would see that. They said, you were right, Rob. Right. He did call. He was alive. So, again, here's another example. So how do you draw the line, and where do you find, who's got ability and who's real and who's not?
Well, real quick, I mean, I remember, now the Sylvia Brown. You remember Sylvia Brown?
Yeah.
You know, she was on the Montel show, and I remember, you know, she told this family, your son's dead, you know, or something like that. And then they found he was alive, you know, or was a daughter. I don't remember the details, but she got blasted for that. And I've always thought, you know, I being a paranormal investigator, you know, I put myself in the line of having paranormal experiences, and I've had them since I was a kid. But I remember once I went to a house and was given a photo of a person, and they were laying in a casket. I had no name on the photo, no nothing. And I wasn't trying to be psychic. I actually wasn't. I wasn't trying. I was just holding the photo, and I blurted out, his name's William, and they call him Bill. And I don't know why I said it. And the owner turned and looked at me and goes, I haven't told even my girlfriend what his name was yet.
Right.
And they're like, well, get the last name. And I could hear, Eiler. Like, it's my own voice, like that inner voice. And I could hear it. I'm like, it's something like Eisler, something like that. And the guy stopped. He's like, it's that. He's like, oh my God, how do you, he's like, I haven't told anybody, you know, just the people that lived here before me left these photos. And I even told them, I said, they're like, well, tell us more. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. and I was like, all I know is that this guy was an alcoholic. I'm getting this really sense of impression that this guy's an alcoholic. I remind you again, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a medium, never was. And it was just coming to me. It was just one of the weird experiences. And I also said, he's got stuff still hidden in this house. And turned out, the owner's girlfriend went and started looking, and she found hidden behind a wall all this World War II stuff that his family left there. Because my feeling at the time, the family left all the photos and all the stuff because they hated him, and that was it. But I remember telling this to the guy who trained me in the paranormal. He goes, we sometimes doing the paranormal have these experiences. Doesn't mean you're John Edwards. You know, don't go out there and try to, you know, do these readings or try to do this stuff, because you're going to be wrong a lot of times too. And that's why I've never approached it. I thought that was the best advice he could give me. You know, it's like, I had this amazing experience, but I don't know how to control it. And I would never put myself on the line. What you do, Robbie, you put yourself on the line. You put your reputation on the line every time you do this. And you turn out on the good side. It seems like every time you're getting it. And you're going up against other psychics who are making a totally different claim than you are, and you turn out to be right. That is, to me, the proof in the pudding, as you put it in the book.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to tell you, I sat for years, a decade, being ridiculed by trolls online who made web pages, you know, stop Robbie, stop this, and he solved no cases. I bit my tongue because I knew every case I did, I solved. The family spoke up. They're speaking up on social media now.
Yeah. Oh, I saw it when I posted in my show, people were commenting. Family members commented. They're like, he's awesome. You know, you've gotten so much praise from people. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I just bit my tongue, Jason, and then I thought, I started the book about 8 years ago, and I thought, I'm going to put something together that shows everybody the reality of it really truly being done. Not once, not twice, 15 times in Volume 1. I can do 15 more times in Volume 2, and 15 more times in Volume 3 and 4. So, I mean, I brought it forward. I put it out there. I haven't had skeptics come out and say anything, because the fact is, you have police testimonials telling you he did this, and this is how he did it. You got families telling you. You got behind the scenes, you know, text messages, emails. It's all there.
That's what's great about the book. You know, sometimes you start off with the story, letting them tell their side of it, and then you add what you did. Sometimes it starts out with what you did, and then the family or the police officer involved tells. It's great collaboration, you know, because I've read other books from psychics, and they toot their own horn, but where's the proof? You know, you have their names, their reputations, especially when it comes to law enforcement. When a police officer puts his name up there, even retired. You know, it doesn't matter. These guys, their profession, their career mean a lot to them. They're not going to put their name on it unless they believe it.
No, that's true. I mean, I'm not boasting. I'm looking for folks who are out there, and I know a couple who really do work out there, and they're kind of scared to step forward. But it gives families hope. It gives families faith. And that's why I'm putting myself out there for people to see this. And it's not to say, hey, I'm the greatest thing. No, it's not that at all. I'm showing them that, yeah, I'm endorsed by FBI. Yeah, I'm endorsed by RCMP. Yeah, I'm endorsed by Crime Stoppers. I'm endorsed by law enforcement all over. You know, Mothers Against Trafficking Humans. organizations. They're all there. Give family hope. Give them something that they can say, yeah, I need help. And if it's not me, it's somebody else. But they can go to somebody who's real. And again, it gets that dividing line, though. Where do you divide it where people aren't this, but there's something different? I think that, I get told by officers all the time, and I'm in office with them, and we're going over stuff, and I'm looking at suspect A and suspect B, a lot of different credential things in the cases. I'm looking at it all, and then a detective will come in and go, oh, look at this, we got another one. And they pull it off the fax machine or the email, and they're reading it, and it says, I'm psychic, and this is what I say. And then we all get to look at it, and it's totally benign. It's totally not even close to what the case is. So where do you draw the line? But they have to follow that lead now.
Exactly.
And that lead takes them weeks to get it all finished off, and a waste of time, resources, and money. I don't know. It's disheartening. I get about 1,000 cases or more a year in my office.
Wow.
A week, 30, 40, 50, it's up there. It's really high.
Wow.
I get families saying, well, we had this psychic, and it's gotten nowhere. And they're like a year into a cold case. And I say, well, I can't get to you right now. I'm being totally honest. I've got like hundreds of cases I'm waiting. I'm doing those. By the time I get to you, it might be another year. A CIA individual, and she's still on my page. Her daughter was murdered. It took me a year and a half to get to her.
Oh, wow.
So, that's how long it takes me to get to somebody. Just not this guy who, works at a coffee shop and comes home and does a psychic reading. I'm on this 24/7. Cops are calling. It's an occupation for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to ask you, reading the book and seeing how busy you are and how much you dedicate yourself to this, the toll on your life has got to be incredible. Being a family man, too, I couldn't imagine. But have you ever thought of reaching out to other people to train other people to do what you do so you're not spread so thin?
Yeah. No, that's a great question because Sergeant Cliff Price, he was in Vietnam, and the oversight project and whatever we were talking, there's a lot of things that he knows. And he said, you know what, you would be great to work with the FBI or somebody and train these people how to do this because the record that you have is substantial to what they really have ever seen. And, I look at what I do. I get a call, got a missing endangered woman. Within an hour, I find her in a different city alive and we save her life. That's real. And you see it in the book. You see the detective. He writes about it. He says, yeah, he did. He found her.
And you were specific in that case. You were very specific in that case. You're talking about the elderly lady that went missing, and you tell them, she's on a bus. You see she's on a bus. She's heading to the certain. You gave them the location. You couldn't have done any more.
Yeah. She went from St. Petersburg to Tampa Bay, Florida. So when I said she's in the Bay Area, she went and took a bus, and she's in the crossway with the rocks around it. Well, they went right there, and they found her. It's something I thought about what I could do as, 28 years now, Jason, thinking, okay, how much longer do I do this? I've been approached. I've been filmed by America's Most Wanted. How much more can I do? An Emmy Award-winning director has approached me, offered me 2 shows. One is like Medium, what we see on TV, but you're going to have the real medium who has all these cases, and they're going to really reenact all of them. And then you're going to do a real show, like unscripted. I go with the police, and I hunt these guys down, and we get them.
I want to see that
we're
one.
Sitting there right now. I'm loving it. It's going to happen.
That's awesome.
But how long do I got? 5 years? Do I got 3 years? So I want to look afterwards. I want to train people, but it's going to be at the level like Sergeant Cliff Price said. The FBI, something like that. I've had FBI Bobby Bull come forward and say, I should train the FBI people and stuff. Well, you know what? They're talking about it. Somebody's probably going to call one day and say, would you? and then I'd be willing.
I look at it as like, I mean, I'm a geek, so excuse me, but like Star Wars, you're a Jedi. You are. I'm going to put it that way. You're like a Jedi. You're using the Force. I'm a Gnostic, so my best relationship to spirituality, and I believe in it. I just question all of it, what it is. I don't like to quantify it, but I tell people I'm into Jediism. Is you're using the Force to solve these cases. You're using some other, for you, your belief in God. I know you pray to God a lot to help you in these cases. Do you think you could train anybody to do that, or you got to find, like the Jedi, certain special people that have the innate ability?
Yeah, the latter part is going to be the difficult part, because we could set up 100 people, and out of the 100 people, 0 will be the one that I choose. I'm very picky. As you see in the book, the detail I give, that's what is expected by law enforcement.
Right.
Because you can't say, I see a red light, I see a tree, I see a rock. Well, that could be anywhere.
Right.
I went down and did this case with the CIA, the FBI in Washington. It was a biker no, that's the second case. Sorry. We'll do the first case. CIA her daughter was murdered. So I get out of Ronald Reagan Airport. I get into the DSA's office, and I'm sitting with the lead detective, and he's showing me the suspect. I'm looking at him. He's telling me that the FBI there already found the car in Virginia, and it was washed. I said, okay. Meaning it's been bleached.
Right.
So he goes, here's a map of Maryland and Virginia. Find her. All right? So I go, okay. I go back to my hotel room. I'm a little bit upset. Not at the detective or anybody that was in that room that we had that meeting. I was at the whole scenario of what took place and how complex this case was. So I'm looking at the map. I take a pen and I circle a little road by Andrews Air Force Base. I'm done. I put the map down. My wife goes to me. I take my wife on every destiny. So my wife goes, "You're not done." I say, "Oh yeah, I'm done. That's it for the night." So then I go back and see Homer, and I say to Homer, "There you go." He looks at the map. He says, "Get in the car." So we get in the car, and like every good cop, every good detective, they'll try to throw you off, and they'll drive you over this way and say, "Is this it?" Drive you over that way. "Is this it?" And I told him, I said, "Stop. Stop, Homer." I said, "Take me back to where I circled that road." He pulled the car off on the side of the road. He goes, "Get out of the car." I get out of the car. He walks around the side, leans against it, staring at me. And he goes, "I don't know how you do it and how you figured this out." He says, "But that little road you circled out of all of Maryland and Virginia," he goes, "that's the road I've been looking at all this time."
That's crazy.
He says, "Every information you faxed to me prior to coming to America from Canada, the dumping ground, the way the road went, the area in spite of the phone being pinged off one tower and all that," he goes, "it was dead on." He goes, "I don't know how you do it." See, that's the type of thing they're looking for. So instead of saying, a rock, a tree, they're looking for, the specific area. You can narrow it down to like a road that's only a size of a football field. That's what they're looking for. And they're looking for, and then when we found a bag with the flip phone and weapon and stuff all in that field. So, that's what they're looking for. Or they're looking for this. You get a photograph, you look at it, and you give the murderer's name. And I've done that many times. And I told them where the body is. Exact words, straight up, within half an hour to an hour. You get that, you give it to them. That's what they're looking for. And that's the truth.
What I'm curious about, because of my, I think about the reason I believe it's possible. I have many friends that don't. They just think it's a load of hogwash. The reason I believe it's possible is because of my own experience. I held a picture and knew a guy's name. I know it's possible. If my dumb butt can do it, no training, then somebody who's been doing it for 28 years for sure can. I believe it's real. I don't know how I could have drawn a name off of just holding a picture. With the map, I'm curious, did you just go, it's here? Did something lead you to it? How do you decide? You got this huge map. You got 2 states you're talking. How did you pinpoint that road? I'm sorry, my curiosity is just incredible. Like, what makes you go, that's the spot?
Anger. I was so angry at the whole situation And again, not the detectives, the CIA or anybody that was there. I mean, we had, look at this. You know this too. We had NSA come out. I mean, where does a psychic get to work with NSA? Where? You don't. And I'm just looking at the caliber of people. But I mean, I was angry. I cracked a beer. I did. I cracked a beer, and I took a big swig, and I put it down on the nightstand there, and I just looked at the map, and it clued in. It just like tunnel vision right to that road, and I just knew it. And I felt it in my gut, and I circled it, and I handed it to him in the morning.
And the odds of you just circling that are 1,000,000,000 to 1, for you to be able to do that. That's what I thought was so incredible in the book. And you get this side of the story from law enforcement in these books. It's not just him telling you this story. Again, it's, check out this book, Psychic Profiler, The Real Deal, True Crimes, Volume 1. I am going to go to our second and last commercial break. Now, before I do, Robbie, we were talking before the show, and we were talking in our messenger about you doing a giveaway tonight of the book. How do you want to do that? We can do it after the commercial break. Come back, and you want to do it with people in the chat room, right? The Facebook chat.
Yeah, we'll do it when we get back. We'll surprise everybody with a great question, and the first person who comes up with the right answer, who's been tuning in and listening to the show, you'll get this book.
Jamie, Rob, I'm going to ask you guys to man the chat room for me, because you know how hard it is for me to watch it. It goes by. For when he asks us the question, whoever answers first in the chat room is the winner, and we'll make sure we find a way so they can get in contact or however get their information to get it to Robbie. We can give it to you through Messenger. All right, awesome. All right, guys, we're going to go to our second and last commercial break. We will have one phone line open tonight. I have to have Robbie on the phone. That's why his audio is not the greatest. You can see him, but he's actually on my phone line. So I do have a Skype line open tonight. It's the OOJBLAND Skype line, so you can call in the show. Don't call in the show for the answer question. We're going to just do that for the chat room. But if you want to call in and ask Robbie a question, again, the Skype ID is OOJBLAND, or OOJBLAND. OO. You can call in and ask Robbie a question. One question. Let's keep it to one, so in case we got other people want to call in, and I want to continue the conversation with Robbie. All right, guys. Again, we play music out Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. You will not hear it on Facebook, so don't freak out. We'll be a little quiet for about a minute, and then you'll hear the commercials. We'll be back with Robbie Thomas, Psychic Profiler. All right, guys. See you in a few minutes. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Robbie Thomas, Psychic Profiler. We're talking about his new book, The Real Deal, True Crimes, Cases, Volume 1. And I want to know when Volume 2 is coming out, because I finished this book so quick. It was so good, I couldn't put it down. I literally finished it in 2 days. It's been a long time since I finished a book that quick. I used to read 5 books a week, and I barely could do one in a month since I've been a father. But man, this book is so good. I highly recommend it. Check it out. If you're interested in real psychic, working with the law enforcement, working for finding missing people, this is the book for you. He's got the testimonials in there. It really will blow your mind. I really think it will. If you're a skeptic, I challenge you to read this book, and I know you'll find a way to challenge me on it, I'm sure. But I think this is the real deal. Robbie's out there proving this ability and this phenomenon. All right, guys, you can call into the show tonight. There is one Skype line open. Sadly, we only got the one tonight. It is the Skype ID OOJBLAND OO, or that's OOJBLAND OO. That's the Skype ID. You can call in the show and ask Robbie a question. Keep it to one question, because we want to leave room for us to talk and other people to call in. All right, let's get back to our guest. All right. You still there with us, Robbie?
Oh, yeah, I'm hanging in here.
Awesome. All right, so we got a little giveaway we're doing for the book, Psychic Profiler, The Real Deal, True Crime Cases. Do you want to give away, do that now, or wait till the end?
Yeah, let's do it about 15 minutes to the top of the hour.
Okay, so about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. For people in the Facebook chat, we will have a chance for you to win this book right here that I got, Psychic Profiler, The Real Deal True Crime Cases. We do already have a caller on the line as well. So,
Jason?
yes.
Also in our chat, can you let me and Rob know the answer to the question so that we know who's got the question right?
That's true. Didn't even think about that. Jamie, you're so smart.
Give that credit to Rob.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is either, so we're going to have Rob help us out on that one. Can you message me the answer in Facebook, and I'll forward it on to them?
Yeah, I already did. And the question's right in the Facebook as well, in your messenger.
All right, I will forward that on to them. We do have a phone call on the line. Let me bring her on. I got to get so you can all hear her. How are we doing tonight, Lorelei?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for calling in. You have a question for our guest?
I do. Hi, Robbie. Fantastic guest tonight. I'm really enjoying everything you're sharing with us. Thank you.
No, thank you. And hello, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, thanks. I want to say hi from a fellow Canadian. I'm in Northwestern Ontario, so I was all excited to hear you were Canadian. I can't believe I've never heard of you before, and definitely going to be checking everything out by you.
Oh, fantastic. Right on.
Hey, I have a question for you, and it sounds like it may be covered in your book, but I am a psychic medium, and I have a very close friend that's actually in the chat with me right now that has also got some pretty strong abilities. And over the past couple months, between the two of us, we've been getting quite a bit of information about people that have passed, not looking for it, just happens to come up. Either she will get somebody that'll visit her that has just passed, and we've gotten information, and we're wondering, how do you get law enforcement to take you seriously? That's what my big question is, because this is impertinent information. We've even proved, my friend that's in the chat room, some of the stuff that she's gotten pertaining to a case in Southern California, or I guess, California. I was going to say southern states, but that actually came to fruition. That was true. But how do you pass that along to law enforcement and get them to pay attention and take you seriously?
Well, like I described earlier in the show, if you or someone else calls in on a case, emails the lead detective or fax or what have you, you get the information with your name attached, they have to follow those leads up. So you can give it anonymously. Those tips are least looked at other than when you put your name to it. So if you put your name to it, they're going to follow the lead up. And if you're correct, they'll get to you. Now here's hindsight. You give your name to it, and let's say you're correct 100%. They're also going to look at you as either, part suspect, or, part of this case.
Yeah, you have to be concerned about that. Yeah. I would.
Yeah.
No, we knew that, and that's why one of the reasons why her and I have never sort of followed up on this, because actually I applied to the RCMP. I had been going through the whole hiring process, and actually this is how far back it was when the first Gulf War was on. The hiring freeze was put on hold, and then I met my first husband, so I didn't pursue it, but I was going to be in law enforcement, so I understand, we'd be considered as suspects, absolutely.
In Canada or America, anywhere, if you come up that much pertinent information. Yeah.
Well, here's key, too. I've done a lot of law enforcement shows where they're hosts of TV and radio programs, and they'll come straight out and say, we do not like people calling in and doing that, because I gave the other part of it where they have to follow the leads and they're misguiding 99.9% of the time. But they like to search out people who are credible. I would go and offer yourself to your local authority. Say, this is what I can do to help, and if you ever need this assistance, I'm here for you.
Right.
And talk to the detectives, in charge of the homicide division, and see if they're willing to take you on You never know. They might take your card, hang on to it, and one day they get stuck. They might call you.
You get an officer who's got a cold case he just doesn't want to let go of, and he's got nothing, and he might take a chance.
No, that's a good point, and I appreciate that, because we're cross-border, right? I'm Canadian, and she's in the U.S., and I actually like working on stuff that, say, my friend gets, because I know nothing about it, and then I know what comes to me, obviously, is information about the case, because I know nothing about it. I haven't read it. I don't know anything about it. So thank you. I really appreciate your advice, Robbie.
No, that's good. Yeah, and write everything down.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, really
write everything down, date it, log it, make sure everything is, lick it, stick it, stamp it type thing, and offer these things to them, but don't just come out and go, hey, I'm psychic, and this is me, and I got this, and they're going to put you away. So, go and approach them and say, I offer myself to you.
No, okay, I appreciate that, because I didn't want to be looked at, and I am not trying to label anybody, because obviously, like, I practice this as well, being a psychic medium. Like, this is a nut bar approaching me saying, hey, I'm a psychic medium, I can help. I wanted to be able to prove it to them that, yes, we do have some credible information for you guys to follow up on. So I really appreciate your advice. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for calling in, Laura Lee.
Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful night. Absolutely awesome show as usual. Jason, thanks.
Thanks. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Has that happened to you, Robbie? That you were looked at as a suspect? Never?
Never. Because I call it ambulance chase.
Right.
There's enough of them out there doing it, and it's true. I mean, the Delphi murders, I got the short list handed to me by the detective, and we're up to 30-some people who approached the family and stuff, and it's diluted, like, hugely.
They have not solved that case, have they, yet? They're
not
close.
Yet.
They're close.
Yeah.
I feel like
they
they're
are so close. They're so close that I'm the only guy who has the real actual witness in his back pocket.
Wow. Yeah. See, I'm from Indiana, and it's a huge case here, and really sad. The two girls that were murdered. We've talked about it on this show, and the picture, the cell phone picture left on there, the guy. Would you be able to take that kind of, I know you can't talk too much about it, but you'd be able to take that picture and get a lot of information? Because I wondered that because of my experience. That feels like I just got this jolt of energy from this picture. You think you get that from that cell phone picture? You get a lot of information by looking at that? Well,
when it happened, I got approached by every law enforcement detective in Indiana, jump on the case. I spoke to Libby's mom, and I said, no, I'm going to sit back and wait because there's something that's going to come forward. And I just didn't want to get involved because I knew there was something coming forward. I got approached by people who were very tied to the lead detective, and they've been trying to hound me for information. People tied to the sheriff's office, and I won't tell anybody anything. I've kept every email, like you've seen in the book, every text message from the detective, everybody. And I sat back, and this is breaking news on your show right now. Nobody knows this. And about 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I was right. The witness came forward, came to me. She was sitting on my social media for a year.
Oh, my God.
And I won't say any more than that, other than I've seen the actual photograph and video, and it's the guy. I know his name. I know exactly where he lives. The detective was blown away. The FBI dropped the ball back in the beginning of this case.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I got documentation that goes way back and goes a lot of places, and they're trying to fill it out. And if this breaks on TV or whatever, they're going to hound me for the information, but I'm not going to do it.
Right.
We've been speaking to the detective. He's totally blown away. He can't believe and understand why she would come to me, but she knew what I do, and I work with law enforcement. So Jerry, who's the lead detective on the case that everybody sees on TV, we're corresponding back and forth. And, so when I say I got the short list of people, there was a good question in the chat room saying, there's a lot of fakes out there and people. Well, that's what I mean. They got through the short list of people that I think about 35 or 30 around there I've known, and they're so far out left field. But here we are, and I've been corresponding for the last 3 weeks. And this is going to actually, I'm putting this as the number one story when this is done in volume 2, so people will see the truth behind everything.
I can't. I want to see this case get resolved so bad. So I'm praying that this happens, because it was. I mean, it's horrible when anywhere. It's not just because of my local state. It's just a monster took these 2 girls' lives, a monster, and he has to be brought to justice. And I have a question. I want to get to that, but we do have another caller on the line. I figured we would. It's Zach. Always has great questions. Yes, real quick.
Can you please check your PM right quick?
Okay, I will. I'll let Zach. I'll check it while I got. We got Zach on the line. He always has really great questions. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Robbie. It's very nice to meet you, man. I just have one question. It's about something that you I mentioned a little bit earlier, that there is a difference between intuition and ability. And when it comes to psychic abilities, I always find that, to me at least, it's a bit of a gray area. So would you be willing to just elaborate a little bit of the differentiation between intuition and psychic ability?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. In my first book in 2003, I wrote the difference between intuition and spirituality and having true ability. Intuition is if you or I are in the car and you're thinking of a song and the song comes on the radio and you turn to me and go, I just thought of that song. Intuition is where we're sitting in your house and you look over at the phone and the phone rings and you go, I just thought the phone would ring. Or you would say, I was just thinking of you, Rob, just yesterday, and I haven't seen you in 10 years, but I see you in the mall. That's intuition. Real ability is to be able to look at a photograph and say, Cecil Eugene News, the murderer, and the body is here, and you give great detail where he lives, and they go arrest him and put him in jail for life. That's real ability.
Yeah, I mean, you had the name of the sub. You gave the name before nobody knew it. Nobody knew who did it. That is an incredible story in the book as well. Zach, that
okay,
help?
So basically, it's intuition is the same as foreshadowing, whereas psychic ability is basically giving detailed description about a certain event or person. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not only that, but you can detail. I'm in Canada and I have a photograph and I'm detailing how the lights in the stadium were off, and I got the name of the stadium, Papa John Stadium. And if you stood on the front porch of the murderer's home, they were doing construction right there. I knew that he was a repeat offender. I wrote that down on the detail of 2 young boys, the men in orange vests, doing remote viewing, doing the feelings of him being murdered, knowing all this was going on. That's real ability, and putting it down specifically on paper and then faxing it off and then them arresting the man. Intuition is the baby steps that lead to this. And some people will never, ever, ever get to this. Some people will just have that intuition. And they'll know, like, if my son, I feel something's wrong with my son, and sure enough, your son fell off the bike and broke his leg. That's intuition. But to get right into ability is to give all that detail and do it all within a half an hour or an hour. And that's totally separate than intuition. Intuition is like a hunch.
Okay, cool. That definitely does answer my question, and I appreciate you answering it, Robbie. Thank you so much, man.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Zach. You always got great questions.
All right, thank you for allowing me to call in, Jason. Everybody, have a good night.
You too, bud. Later. Yeah, my question is how much I know you asked for help for guidance from God, but also do you think you asked for your spirit guides for help? Do you think you have like spirits on the other side? They're kind of going and almost like investigators on the other side trying to get you the information and bring it back to you in a way. Is what I imagine. I am a very imaginative person. I know.
Yeah, no, true. In the mid 1990s, before there was Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, Yahoo, there was Robbie Thomas forums. I had 11,000, 12,000 people who followed me. A lot of those people follow me on my social media today. And one lady I helped out get her daughter out of the sex slave trade. another story that's in the book. And she said, I never thought I'd have to use you. But, and this happened in like 2012. She followed me since 1995. And so we got her daughter out of the sex slave trade. That's a big story in the book people can read as well. She writes a huge letter about that. It was great detail and what have you. I asked for spirit guides. I used to teach people that your children, when they speak of imaginary friends, there's no such thing as imaginary friends. What they're telling you is, this is my angels and my guides. And, be it Sandy, Mary, whatever name they give these guides or angels, make sure you write this stuff down for your children. Log it, make a journal, so when they get older like us, we can look back at that and go, I totally recall that, and that's part of my being. That's part of me, the essential part of me here. So I used to teach that for years.
Oh, yeah. People have heard my story about my half-sister that I didn't know I had. Her spirit I saw as a child. I thought it was a real little girl. In my memories, I didn't find out till later that it was my mom's miscarried daughter. She had from previous marriage before me. I pay very much attention to my kids if they talk about anything of what they see in that, because I know it's possible.
Yep, it is. Truly is.
So doing this, like I said, I imagine like the spirits going out and getting the information. What are some of the other ways you kind of hone in on these? I mean, the pressure's on. You feel it in the book when you talk about these cases. How much I remember, I can't remember the specific case, but I know there was one with a small child and a mom getting hold of you, and you almost turned it down because you had family weekend. You needed your time, but you almost turned it away, but you ended up calling her back, and then the pressure was on. You could feel it in the book, the way you wrote about it, that once you were sucked in, honed into helping this person, you knew this child's life was on the line, and you weren't able to. The child did end up being murdered. It's like you almost feel the pressure on it, like you knew, like you only had so much time. It's what I felt like you were trying to get at in the book.
Yeah. That's the one where I got the murderer's name, Cecil. Mm-hmm. It was, it happened very quick. It was about an hour and a half, got all the information. And it was, the information was going back and forth between me, the detective, and the major news agency television show in Louisville, Kentucky. I also had Keith Age on the phone and talking to him, going back and forth. And he writes a little thing on my website, give the description of the murderer to a T, and it's a bittersweet, but we caught him. And, I live these things really deep. A lot of people don't understand how deep it truly is. And, I can appreciate everybody who wants, I get letters. Like we had Laura Lee talk here tonight about her and her friend, but I get people all week long. I want to do what you do. No, you don't. I want to be what you, no, you don't. You really don't. My life has been consistently, like my wife quoted in the book. I took a quote from my wife, perfect strangers. Yeah. My life is perfect strangers. I've been away on birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, countless for 28 years. And, it's a job that's, I'm going to use a term, people do give thanks, okay, but it's a thankfulest job because there's just so much you give of yourself, and there's just, it's everything. It's your whole being. I'm gone away for weeks at a time, and then there's people say, they write me letters, like I say, and say, I want to do what you do, and you just know that they don't have the ability. I can line up 1,000 people, and every one of them want to be what you are, but you can't. Just be you. And if you got a little ability, that's fine. Just be you. I know out of a handful of people in the United States and Canada that truly work with the states, it's on this hand, this many. It's not very many at all. It's very difficult for people to understand that. They think there's thousands of people if they're working. There's not. No. Because I get so many examples of how many screw-ups there are. And people get, they waste time, money, energy, family, and it's very difficult. So when people want to have an occupation like this, I can appreciate it. But, there's more to it than they think.
I remember reading a certain psychic's, a very famous one, I won't say who, book, and being taken back by his part in the book where people asked him, "Do you do law enforcement and missing people?" And he did once. He did a little bit, and then had a horrible instance where he did lead them on the wrong direction. Admits it in the book, and that was it. He was done because he realized the consequences of that. Like it wasn't for him. Wasn't what he's supposed to be doing. And you got to be right if you're going to do it. If you're going to give the information, you better be sure about it. And you're confident. You know what your abilities are. Myself, I wouldn't be confident of anything. I don't care. I had that one experience. I wouldn't be confident of anything that come through me. I don't know, and I know the consequences of giving the wrong information, of leading them in the wrong direction, especially in a case with children missing. That time is on the line. It is literally on the line. That was a case where you were asked in the middle of it, like going on. A lot of times, I suppose you get asked after it's been a cold case, but when you get asked in something that's in the middle of an Amber Alert, a child's missing, time is on. You cannot be wrong in any way.
No, you can't. A good example is that missing endangered elderly lady in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, the bolo went out at 9:35, and Officer Andy DeLay called me up from Florida. I already did a double homicide with him in Kentucky, so now he's in Florida, serving in Florida, and he called me up, and that's that Rolodex thing. You prove yourself, they call you back. So he says, we got her missing at 9:35. At 10:30, I found her. Within an hour, we found her alive. And then the news broke at noon that they found her alive and returned her to her family. You got to be that way because you're putting your name on the line. And, there's another case in the book where Lester Jones got convicted of double homicide at Christmas time, December 27th, 2016. And I worked with Detective Sergeant Cliff Christ. Well, they had a psychic on that case, too, for about, I'd say maybe 6 months. And she ran the police and everybody ragged. And she's kind of like disappeared now because her name is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, she did totally wrong. And I come on the case, and I said his name's Lester. And he works at an RV center, and he's a mechanic. And sure enough, that was the guy. Once that broke, she was gone. It's like the Delphi murders. All those people and the names and the list and everything. It's going to be very difficult for people when this all breaks. It's not a joke. And people, here's the difference, and this is a quote from all law enforcement. They all say the same thing. They want their 15 minutes of fame.
Yep.
And that's why they call in. I don't call in. They call me. So I just help them. So, I know there's other people out there, too. They don't call in. The police call them. So, there's a difference there. And I don't know what to say. I've seen people get charged in the States. Certain states will charge people.
For interfering in a police investigation.
Yeah,
Giving
exactly.
false
That's
statement.
exactly it.
Yep.
I don't know if that should be done more. Maybe that should be done more. Maybe these people who call in and say, I'm psychic and here's the information, should they be charged? It's the calling in they don't like. It's the calling in. That's why I don't ever ambulance chase. Every case you see in that book, they're calling.
Yeah, right. You're getting contacted. You're not interjecting yourself into the case. I saw, is the usual scenario if a family member gets a hold of you, you tell them to go and talk to the detectives on the case and give them your name. You're telling the family they got to do. If you want me involved, you're gonna have to talk to the detectives on the case.
That's right. I have a working policy on my website. It tells you right there. I don't give information to third-party people. Oh my gosh! On the Delphi murder, I had one person. There's one person on the list, and then her name's still posted on my page. She tried to pump me for information so that she could get her 15 minutes of fame with one of the mothers, and it didn't work for her. It backfired. It's amazing. My policy says I don't talk to third-party people, second-party people. I talk to the family and detectives only. I won't take a case on until the family contacts the police. The police know who I am. They contact me, and then I agree. And then we sit down and talk, different things. Like there's a fee involved because, I do work and I'm out flying everywhere. It doesn't come out of my pocket, So, there's certain aspects that have to be taken care of. and that's just the way it is. You know, it's a very tough thing, and I tried to explain to people, but they see these shows on TV, medium, psychic detectives, haunting evidence, shows that never really solved anything. They just didn't do it, and people think I could do that. Well, that's, you know, there's a fine line. There really truly is. I don't know what to say. You guys went through to be a police officer. I did. I've got a lot of cops on my page. A lot of them are tuning in. You know, we'll hear about it tomorrow. They're saying you're saying the right thing. But, you know, it's something like Laura Lee. She said, I said, well, offer yourself, right? So offer yourself to them rather than calling in. And something happens. They say, okay, Laura Lee, here's a case. Help me. Okay, she goes, okay, good. And she sits down. She does her thing. If she's wrong, we'll never call her again. If she's right, she's in.
Yep. You mentioned proof in the pudding in the book. It's what it is. You know, you have to. You cannot waste their time. If you show that you can give results, then they will use you. They want to solve the case. You know, they're dedicated individuals in law enforcement. You know, that they don't like cold cases either, and or cases that are even, you know, they're not cold, that are going on currently. They want them solved. And if somebody can provide proof, they're good individuals in law enforcement. Maybe skeptical, but they'll if you can prove it, they'll go for it. You know, they're logical people usually in law enforcement.
Yeah, it's science based with them. It's they see this and we see this, so it's like we see outside the box and we just try to fit everything together for them. It's amazing how it happens. I mean, I try to explain to people when I go on scene, it happens fast. It happens for a reason. You can't force it because God assists, and He does that. It's like I'm in Virginia filming, and there's a gentleman by the name of Bill Kiff, and he's brain dead in the hospital, and I get called to come all the way home, so I drive all 12 hours to get back home, to go into the ICU, and I pray for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Jason, and I hear all the information I need to hear. I put it all in the book too, so people can read the story. And I turn to his wife, Julie, and I explain to it. And then they tell the neurologist, highly special doctors, scientific, what I say, and they find out, yeah, he's right, and they saved his life. And they were going to pull the plug and kill him, but now Bill's home alive. So you got to be that accurate. If you're not that accurate, you've pulled the plug on Bill, and he's dead. Yeah. So that's how accurate you got to be.
Lives are on the line. What you're doing, it's not just like talking to people's dead relatives. You know, lives are on the line. It's not for every. You know, you could have mediumistic. You can be a medium and have really good abilities, but this still would not be the right line of work for you. You know, for you to do. And you talk about charging a fee. You know, well, if you're a private detective, a private eye, they get paid. You know, you do have to travel. You do have to, you know, live to be able to do this. You know, you know, you are a private eye in a way. What you're doing, you're just using a different set of skill set than they have.
That's right. That's right. Even if I solved the case in 5 minutes, like Bill, who was, you know, going to be unplugged, or an hour finding the elderly lady, or a week, you know, solving the case of the Brewer family. If it's going to cost the amount of money that I charge, that's what I pay. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or, you know, a week. The outcome is a great outcome. That's my fee. It's just simple. Either you hire somebody to do the job right, or you go half-ass and you get 30 psychics who don't know what they're doing. And you know, it's just, I don't know what to say. There's people out there who are real, and the police know who they are. I guess the question I did a show a while ago is, how do we get around it? Almost like Laura Lee said.
Yeah.
And I say, well, you're going to have to offer yourself and put yourself to the test. If you fail, well, then you know where you stand. And that's just the way it is. It's simple.
Yeah, because you got to be accurate. That is as simple as it is. You can't waste the police time, and especially when lives are on the line, you just can't. That's why I would, you know, you say you don't like the term psychic. I would, you know, when I say I've had abilities and done stuff, I've never drove down the line because I would never want to call myself psychic because there's such a high expectation with that. That you're going to read people's minds, and you're going to know all this stuff, and it doesn't work that way.
No, and it's not only that. I mean, I've heard it from law enforcement. It's a carnival act.
Yeah.
That's what they associate the name psychic to.
Yep.
They don't like it because it's a carnival act. You know, but then the one detective a long time ago dubbed me the psychic profiler. And I thought, oh, no. And, yeah, it stuck. And then the real deal stuck from years ago. And so I just coined that on the book. It doesn't pertain to me. What psychic profiler, the real deal means is that there's people out there who actually work with law enforcement to bring an end or closure to a case or find somebody alive. And that's what it is. You know, it's not me. It's there's real people out there that do it too. So, I mean, I'm trying to take that dummied up coined phrase that was coined to me and put it on the book so people could see it.
I think it's a good phrase. I've always been interested in actual, like, FBI profilers like Quantico and their ability to deduct and reason and look at behavioral, you know, generalities, I guess you could say, to try to find a way to give it a profile of a suspect. But what you do is like beyond that. You know, it's like if they use that, they use these people to use behavioral science to figure that out. If you can, you know, what you're doing is proving is legit. You see one day there being a segment in law enforcement where this could be accepted, where you have trained individuals with your abilities in some form of official part of law enforcement. You ever see that happening?
I foresee this happening down the road where court cases will be brought forward. It's like when I worked with the U.S. Marshals, and they had the case files to the left on trolley carts, like boxes. I didn't even need to look in them. And the family was there. If there was one family member, there was 80 of them. They packed this whole room. And I started going through all the contents of the box and telling them about the insurance job, not one but two, and where the gun was planted in the wall of the house. And nobody knew that. Nobody knew that but only the U.S. Marshal. And, you know, that's where you got to be in that context so that you could be taken for real in the court system. And when it comes viable years from now, I see this happening. You're going to be that tangible part of evidence. How did that U.S. Marshal get that gun out of the wall? Well, I told him it was there. So then he did his investigation on a warrant, on a probable cause, because we have a witness also that came forward or something that's tied to what I've said, and they found that gun. So it makes it feasible. You know?
Because if he goes in, you tell him the gun's in that wall, okay, and he goes into court, the lawyer's going to be ask you, you know, what gave you, you know, what gave you probable cause? You know, in today's legal system, you wouldn't say a psychic told me. It'd be ripped apart in court. Right. So we need that acceptance. We need to be able to prove it. And that's what I think you're doing. I think that's what's awesome. We are like 14 minutes left in the show. So if we're going to do that giveaway, we probably should do it now. So Jamie, Rob, you guys manning the chat rooms and ready?
We're good to go.
We're good to go. You guys got the answer. I messaged it to our Paranormal Soup message board. You're all good on that?
Yep.
Okay, Robbie, you go ahead and throw out there, what is the question for the chat room to win this book right here, Psychic Profiler, Real Deal, True Crimes, Volume 1. Can't wait for Volume 2. Go ahead.
Okay, and we'll need the person's information to mail it to them so they can give it to you in private message. It'll come directly from the publisher. So, the question is, what year was my first case?
So that is, what year was Robbie's first case? We mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm sure there's going to be some psychic guesses here. But I've done that on somebody else's show once. They said, pick a number, and they had like, pick a number of a page out of a book, and I first person to answer, and I was like, right. They're like, what the hell the heck? You know, I'm like, I don't know, I just guessed. Yeah. I see some answers coming in. I'm watching it too.
Yep, a few are popping in.
Few are popping in, not right. We'll see. You know, one of the things while we wait to see if somebody gets the answer right, let us know, interrupt us. But doing this too, you know, for me, are you ever? Is it ever? You probably have gotten this question before, but I guess what I'm thinking, I go back to the fiction side of things, but we talk about being accepted in law enforcement. There's that movie Minority Report with Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, and in that they're stopping criminals before the crime happens. Do you get that? Do you get that? You know something before a crime's even going to be committed? Have you ever had that intuition, and how would you deal with that?
Yeah, 2 days before Victoria Stafford went missing, I seen where she went into the tree line, the pile of rocks, the wagon wheels, the Mennonite people, the laneway. I started drawing all my drawings, doing all my sketches, and I went to 99.9 Fox FM. I knew the program director there, and I showed him all the information. Now, there's a clip, an audio clip from that from back then, where he says, "You showed me this before they started investigating this." And he goes, "I was a skeptic. I chose him for a reason, because he's a skeptical individual." And after he goes, "And now I'm a believer." And sure enough, that's where she was found. And you can't stop the inevitable, no matter how hard or you people think that, if you see something before, it's not movie-like. It just isn't that way. I've had it happen a few times, and you just can't do it. I'm showing this for a reason, and that's why I did the case, and 2 people are behind jail, and her body was found. It's just, that's just the way it is.
Another movie, I'm sorry, I'm a geek. Unbreakable. It's Unbreakable with Bruce Willis. And he's a psychic who sees the crime before it happens and goes and stop it. If you ever felt like you got a vision or you got something that told you something's about to happen, it was within your reach to stop it, would you act on it, or have you had that experience at all?
Well, exactly like, Victoria Stafford, right?
Yeah.
Being murdered. Couldn't stop it. If I could, I would try, but no, couldn't do it. I was writing a script. It was called Time Shift, and I have a book called Time Shift: The Paradigm. Now, Mark Tillman is the original casting director for Stephen King, and he did It long, long time ago, the original one. And I'm on the phone to him, and I'm on the phone to Liftoff Productions, Don Hutchison. And I'm telling them, I want to put 9.0 earthquake into the story, because we've never seen a 9.0 earthquake off the coast of Japan, black tsunami. I want to put that in there. They go, "Wow, this is great. Do it. So I'm writing the script up. This is 5 days before it happened. And you can go on my Facebook page back to March of 2011, that week, and take a look at all my notations. Right up to the last day, I say, what's about to happen tomorrow is we're all going to have to accept. It's a new change. And sure enough, the next day, the 9.0 earthquake happens. And in that book, you have Don Hutchison from Liftoff Productions. He gives his little notation saying it was remarkable how I predicted that a week before it happened. Could I stop it? No. Could I warn people? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not going to be able to stop an earthquake, No. And that would also require you, for those kind of events, to know exactly the date and exactly when. It's like maybe you might get that, but I don't know anybody that really is getting on this day, on this time, exactly. This earthquake's going to happen. No,
No.
We're not. I always say psychics can only be so right, otherwise you'd be God.
That's right.
And nobody is. They're still guessing.
You know what I like? You know what I like? I'm looking at everybody. I'm thinking, they all want to be psychic, and they're all in the chat room. And look how much they pay attention to the year. I mentioned the year.
You're so close.
Like right there.
Come on, all you psychic people in that chat room. I even said the year at the beginning of the show.
Oh, I love the guessing, though. I've watched two people that I know, or one person I know is really psychic on there. She's come close. She's in the right range. She's just missing the 1 year. That's all I'll say. She's getting close.
So close.
It's fun to watch, actually.
It is. It's funny. Oh, and that's one thing too. Is if you want to become a psychic profiler out there, you have to be detailed. You have to pay attention, because they're going to quiz you over and over and over and over.
Oh yeah, and like you said, take notes, write it down. How much do you do, like, I remember, like, the show Medium, a lot of her stuff would come in dreams. You have to focus on it. Did you ever wake up, though, from a dream and go, think this is something? There's something going on. I'm picking up on something in a dream. Does it ever come to you in dreams?
Yeah, still giggling at all those years. Yeah, here's the thing with, I forget her name. What's her name? Medium there.
From the show? The Real Medium? Oh, God.
The Real Medium.
Yeah.
I forget her name. Anyway, she has never really solved the case. She led them to a part of the case, and that's how she got the show. I forget her name. Alison Dubois.
Alison Dubois, you got it.
Yeah. And, it's amazing when you look at that, how they depict that and go off of that. It's pretty close. Not exactly like that. I mean, if they did a show on all the cases that, say, I did, I'm telling you right now, it's totally opposite. You'll go, well, is it ever cut and dry?
Yeah.
Is it ever like, wow, you're boring? Well, it's not. It's just that I get the information, write it down, and it's done.
And it's good information. Like I've had dreams that have come true. I mean, you can ask my wife. I've called out stuff like right before it's going to happen because I dreamt about it. It's a weird feeling. It's where I think deja vu comes from a lot. Is you dreamt about it and just forgot about it. But like you can't control dreams either. Hardly unless you really master lucid dreaming. But the dreams are just going to come. When you have to do it, you have to be able to focus in. You got to be conscious and aware of what you're doing.
That's true. That's true. And I'll tell everybody, if nobody gets it tonight, we'll probably do another show. We'll try again next time.
Yeah.
But you guys are close on this 5-minute mark.
All the years have been thrown out. My mom's in the chat. She goes, you guys keep saying the same years. They've thrown out like all these years, and how they've missed it is a miracle. How they've missed it is a miracle. That's what I find so incredible. You got just a few more minutes, people. I would like to have you on again if you'd be interested, especially if something like the Delphi case is resolved. That's a case I'd love to talk about and find out after it's all done and it's solved. We wouldn't you were able to talk about it. Yeah. I would love to have you on.
I mean, yeah, there's big cases out there I'm doing right now. LAPD on one where the guy was supposed to win the America's Got Talent and his wife was murdered.
Yeah, that's a famous one right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big cases I'm on right now.
I saw they had a recent turn in events in that case. I saw an article about that. I'm trying to remember. But it seems like that case has got some motion going to it right now. They're about ready to solve
Yeah,
it.
and you're going to hear another breaking news on your show right now. I'm the only one in possession of a video that we'll say said perp did and LAPD have, and we're about a month and a half out from arrest.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I say. I got the feeling that the way the article was on it, that they were close to turning this case. And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see these people get away. Like, I got to think that your mind has had to wander some of the famous cases that have not been solved in our modern times, like the Stacy Peterson, another one, Lisa Lamb,
that's the one I want to know about.
I knew. I don't know if you're familiar with the Lisa Lamb case, the girl in the elevator. They actually have video footage of her final moments, and they ruled it an accidental death, which is just completely out of my mind how they made that ruling. I mean, yes, I'm not the police on scene, and I don't have all the evidence, but she made it through 2 secured locked areas, stripped herself naked, and drowned herself in a water tank. It was a storage tank on top of the building.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's right. Yes, I am familiar with that.
And that was in the famous Cecil Hotel where Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
That's right.
We finally got a winner.
Yeah. Do we get a winner?
Yeah.
Who got it? Who got it?
That's Laura Lee.
Laura Lee? I missed it. I was trying to keep an eye on it.
I didn't see it.
I'm looking.
It's there.
I didn't see it.
Rob. You sure?
No.
Yep, she got it. I got it. She's Laura Lee. Laura Lee got it. Congratulations, Laura Lee. The year is 1990. She got it.
I'm sorry, Laura Lee. The time ran out before you answered that.
She's in Canada. She'll hunt you down.
Yeah, I know she would. Yeah.
Congratulations, Laura Lee. I'll make sure we can get the information. Do you need just to get her address to you?
Yeah, just her address and name, and we'll get the publisher to mail it out to her.
Thank you so much for offering that on the show. Awesome. I love it when my guests are able to provide stuff like that, giveaways, because I'm too broke to give away stuff on my show. So thank you. That's awesome. I'm keeping my own book because I'm a book hoarder and I love this book. So volume 2. Is there good? I'm assuming since you said volume 1, there's going to be a volume 2 and 3 and 4, hopefully.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cases I've discussed with you tonight will be in that volume 2. So we're just waiting for arrest to be happened, and then there's some other ones like, I mean, little cases where I caught a guy for stealing people's stuff out of their house, and they found him, got him arrested. There's some odd different things that'll be in the book too, and some great stories.
Well, thank you, Robbie, so much for being on the show. You were an excellent guest. I have friends that are mediums been on the show, and I always love having that perspective because of my interest in it. You're the first one that I've had on that is professionally working with law enforcement as something I've always been interested in. It's something that I want to see pursued. Deep down, it's a passion of mine. I want to see it become more acceptable and more legitimized, and that's what you're doing. So huge kudos to you for doing it. Yeah, with the track, you're proving it every case you're doing, and thank you for your work.
No, thank you for having me, and everybody who buys the book. A lot of people don't realize this, but all the money turns around again and helps me to also offset the cost to go help people. So if you're listening to the show, buy a book, and let's help some other families.
And one last thing before I go, I just thought of this too. What is the best way, or the appropriate way for people to contact you?
RobbieThomas.net.
RobbieThomas.net. There you go, people. Check it. You're a busy man. I couldn't imagine the pressure you're on and how many people are asking you for help, and God bless you for doing it. And like I said, you need to make the Jedi Academy. you need to train other people, because Robbie, you're only human. You're only going to be with us for so long. We gotta, like I said, it's a passion of mine. We got to see this grow and become more legitimized, because I think it's a tool that could revolutionize law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the top of the hour here, let everybody know too. I work with governments, and I'm working with India right now, and they got 10 missing sailors, Army sailors or whatever you call them. But so that's a huge case, and my government's going to be involved, so it's huge. I just, you never know, Jason. If somebody says, hey, come and train, you be a trainer, I will do it.
You should. Well, thank you, Robbie. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show tonight on Palm Sunday. Next Sunday is going to be Easter. And I don't know. I don't have a guest. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a show. I'm trying to decide. Usually the last show of the month is ITC, but we rescheduled. I scheduled Robbie to come on because we had to reschedule him, so I took up that spot. So maybe we'll see what's going on at Easter. Maybe we'll do an ITC show and see if the spirits want to talk to us live on air. You can call in and see if the spirits want to talk to you. That might be. Otherwise, we'll be back the week after that. And again, thank you, Robbie. Everybody, check us out on Paranormal Soup's YouTube channel or on Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup's Facebook page. Check out Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Please go subscribe, donate, help keep the radio network alive. Thanks, everybody, for watching. See you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great night.